My name is Jasmine Cooper. I'm 26 years old, and I thought preparing for my first baby meant my family would support my nesting instincts until my mother looked me in the eye and said, "Jasmine can always buy more baby clothes." What happened next proved that while I was 8 months pregnant and carefully preparing for my son's arrival, my mother was giving away my custom-made baby wardrobe to my sister's newborn because she thought my expensive preparations were excessive and wasteful. Before I tell you how one phone call from the boutique owner changed everything, my family thought they knew about my simple baby clothes and how purchase receipts exposed a custom collection so valuable it couldn't be replaced. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how 3 words, "cannot be replaced," silenced my entire family and made them realize they had given away 200 worth of handmade infant clothing that had taken months to create. Let me take you back to where this story really begins. My husband Derek and I have been trying to have a baby for 3 years. After 2 miscarriages and months of fertility treatments, I finally achieved a healthy pregnancy that made it past the first trimester milestone. By the time I reached my second trimester and we learned we were having a boy, I was cautiously optimistic but also deeply invested in making everything perfect for our son's arrival. After years of hoping and loss, this pregnancy felt like a miracle that deserved to be celebrated with the utmost care and preparation. As someone who works in fashion design, I have a deep appreciation for quality fabrics, craftsmanship, and attention to detail. When it came to preparing clothes for our baby, I wanted to find pieces that were not only beautiful, but also made from the finest materials that would be gentle on his sensitive newborn skin. I discovered a small boutique called Little Treasures that specialized in custom-made infant clothing using organic cotton, bamboo fibers, and other natural materials. The owner, Maria Santos, was a master seamstress who created one-of-a-kind pieces that were both functional and heirloom quality. Each piece is individually designed and sewn by hand, Maria explained when I first visited her shop at 6 months pregnant. I use only the finest natural fibers, and every detail is carefully considered for both beauty and the baby's comfort. The clothes Maria created were absolutely gorgeous. Tiny onesies with hand-embroidered details, soft sleepers with delicate smocking, and little outfits that looked like they belonged in a museum collection of children's fashion. But more than just being beautiful, these clothes represented my dreams and hopes for our son. After years of loss and disappointment, being able to prepare such special things for his arrival felt like an act of faith and love. "I want to create a complete wardrobe for your little boy," Maria told me. "Newborn through 6 months, all coordinated and designed specifically for him." The cost was significant, 200 for a complete custom wardrobe, but Derek and I felt it was worth the investment. We had been saving money for baby expenses for 3 years, and we wanted to give our son the most beautiful and comfortable clothes possible. "It's a lot of money," I told Derek when I showed him Maria's designs, "but these pieces are heirloom quality. Our son can wear them, and someday they might be passed down to his children. If it makes you happy and gives our baby the best start, then it's worth every penny," Derek replied supportively. I placed the order with Maria when I was 26 weeks pregnant, giving her plenty of time to create each piece by hand before our son's due date. "It will take about 10 weeks to complete everything," Maria explained. "Each piece requires multiple fittings and adjustments, and I never rush the handwork." I was excited to see the clothes taking shape during my regular visits to Maria's shop. She would show me the progress on each piece, explaining the techniques she was using and the special details that made each item unique. "This little romper has French seams throughout," Maria would explain, "which means there are no rough edges to irritate the baby's skin. And see these tiny shell buttons? They're carved from mother-of-pearl and sewn on by hand." The level of craftsmanship was extraordinary, and I felt grateful that my son would have such beautiful, thoughtfully made clothing for his first months of life. My family, however, had mixed reactions to my baby clothing preparations. My sister, Monica, who had given birth to her second child just 2 months earlier, thought I was being excessive in my preparations. "Jasmine, babies grow so fast," Monica would say when she saw the clothes I was having made. "They'll only wear newborn sizes for a few weeks. It seems like a waste to spend so much money on clothes they'll outgrow quickly." "These aren't just clothes," I would explain. They're heirloom pieces made from the finest materials. I want our son to have the best. Babies don't care if their clothes are expensive, Monica would reply. They just need to be clean and comfortable. My mother, Patricia, was even more critical of what she saw as my excessive baby preparations. Jasmine is getting carried away with all this expensive baby stuff, she told Monica during one of their phone conversations that I overheard. She's spending money they could be saving for the baby's college fund. She's always been dramatic about everything, Monica replied. Remember how obsessed she got with her wedding dress? Now she's doing the same thing with baby clothes. Their comments stung because they reduced my careful, loving preparations to vanity and waste. They couldn't understand that after years of infertility and loss, preparing beautiful things for our son felt like an act of hope and celebration. At 34 weeks pregnant, I picked up the completed wardrobe from Maria's shop. The clothes were even more beautiful than I had imagined. Each piece was perfectly crafted, with details that showed the hours of loving work that had gone into creating them. Your son is going to look like a little prince, Maria said as she carefully packed each piece in tissue paper. I've never been more proud of a collection. These pieces will be treasured for generations. I brought the clothes home and spent an afternoon organizing them in the nursery, folding each piece carefully and arranging them by size in the antique armoire Derek and I had refinished for the baby's room. They're incredible, Derek said when he saw the completed collection. Maria really created something special for our son. I took photos of the clothes arranged in the nursery, wanting to document how perfect everything looked before our baby arrived to wear them. 2 weeks later, at 36 weeks pregnant, Monica's baby had a growth spurt, and suddenly none of his current clothes fit properly. Emma is growing so fast, Monica complained during a family dinner at my parents' house. I need to buy a whole new wardrobe for him in the next size up, but money's tight right now. Can't you just buy a few basic outfits to get by? Mom suggested. I need at least a dozen pieces to have enough for daily changes and washing, Monica replied. Babies go through so many clothes with feeding and diaper changes. I was sitting at the dinner table, visibly pregnant and due in just 4 weeks, listening to this conversation about Monica's baby clothing needs. What about borrowing some clothes from friends with babies? Derek suggested helpfully. I've already asked around, but most people don't have the right sizes available, Monica said. The conversation continued with various suggestions for how Monica could affordably clothe her growing baby, but no solution seemed to satisfy her immediate needs and budget constraints. After dinner, as we were cleaning up, Mom pulled me aside privately. Jasmine, I have an idea that might help Monica with Emma's clothing situation, she said. What do you have in mind? I asked. Well, you have all those expensive baby clothes in your nursery, Mom continued. Emma needs clothes right now, and your baby won't be born for another month. I stared at Mom, not understanding what she was suggesting. What does Emma needing clothes have to do with my baby's wardrobe? I asked. Monica could borrow some of your baby clothes for Emma until you need them, Mom explained. By the time your son is born, Emma will have grown out of the newborn sizes, and Monica can return them to you. Mom, those clothes are custom made for my baby, I said. They're not meant to be borrowed or shared. But they're just sitting in your nursery unused, Mom pointed out. Monica could really use the help, and the clothes would actually be getting some use instead of just sitting there. They're sitting there because I'm preparing for my baby's arrival, I replied. That's what pregnant women do. They prepare clothes for their babies. But you have so many clothes, Mom continued. Surely you could spare a few pieces to help your sister. I felt uncomfortable with the direction of this conversation. Mom was treating my baby's wardrobe like a lending library, rather than recognizing that these were special pieces I had carefully chosen and prepared for my own son. Mom, I'd rather not lend out the baby clothes, I said firmly. They're special to me, and I want them to be new when my baby wears them. That's very selfish, Jasmine, Mom replied, her tone becoming sharper. Monica is your sister, and she needs help. You have more baby clothes than any one baby could possibly need. I don't have more than I need, I said. I have exactly what I planned for my baby. The conversation ended with Mom expressing disappointment in my unwillingness to help family, and me feeling frustrated that my preparations were being characterized as excessive and selfish. The following week, I had a routine prenatal appointment and some errands to run, so I spent most of Thursday away from home. Derek was at work, and I didn't expect anyone to be at our house during the day. When I came home that evening, I immediately felt that something was wrong. The house had the subtle sense of having been disturbed, not dramatically, but in small ways that suggested someone had been inside while we were gone. "Did anyone come by the house today?" I asked Derek when he got home from work. "Not that I know of," Derek replied. "Why?" "It just feels like someone was here," I said, though I couldn't point to anything specific that had been disturbed. "Maybe it's just pregnancy nesting instincts making you more sensitive to changes in the environment," Derek suggested. "I don't notice anything different." I tried to dismiss my concerns, but something continued to feel off about the house. The next morning, I went into the nursery to check on everything and make sure the room was ready for our son's arrival in just 3 weeks. That's when I discovered what had been bothering me about the house. The baby clothes were gone. The antique armoire that had been carefully organized with dozens of custom-made pieces was nearly empty. Only a few basic onesies and sleepers remained, the least special pieces from the collection. All of Maria's handcrafted clothing, the embroidered pieces, the smocked outfits, the items with mother-of-pearl buttons and French seams, had disappeared. I stood in the nursery staring at the empty armoire, trying to understand what had happened to my baby's clothes. My first thought was that we had been robbed, though it seemed strange that thieves would steal baby clothes while leaving electronics and jewelry untouched. I called Derek immediately. "Derek, someone stole the baby clothes," I said, trying to stay calm. "What do you mean, stole the baby clothes?" Derek asked. "I'm in the nursery, and all of Maria's custom pieces are gone. The armoire is almost empty." "Are you sure you didn't move them somewhere?" Derek asked. "Maybe you relocated them and forgot?" "I didn't move them," I said firmly. "Someone took them." Derek came home from work immediately, and we searched the entire house to see if the clothes had been moved to another location. They were nowhere to be found. "We need to call the police," Derek said. "This is definitely theft." But before we could call the police, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Jasmine, I wanted to let you know that I helped Monica with Emma's clothing situation," Mom said cheerfully. "What do you mean?" I asked, though I was starting to have a terrible suspicion about what she was going to tell me. "I went to your house yesterday and got some of those baby clothes you weren't using," Mom explained. "Monica was so grateful to have nice clothes for Emma. I felt like the world had stopped spinning." "You went to my house and took my baby's clothes?" I asked. "I borrowed some of them for Monica," Mom corrected. "You said you had more than you needed, so I thought you wouldn't mind helping your sister." "Mom, I specifically told you I didn't want to lend the clothes," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "You were being selfish about it," Mom replied dismissively. "Monica needed help, and you have plenty of clothes for your baby. How did you get into my house?" I demanded. "I used the spare key you gave me for emergencies," Mom said. "This was a family emergency. Monica needing baby clothes is not an emergency that justifies breaking into my house," I replied. "I didn't break in," Mom protested. "I used the key you gave me, and I was helping family." Derek was listening to the conversation and looked as furious as I felt. "Mom, you need to get those clothes back immediately," I said. "I can't do that," Mom replied. "Monica has already put them on Emma. Some of them have already been washed." My heart sank. The custom-made clothes had been worn and washed by another baby, which meant they were no longer new for my son. "Besides," Mom continued, "Monica really needed the clothes. You can always buy more baby clothes." That phrase, "you can always buy more baby clothes," showed that Mom had no understanding of what she had taken from me. "Mom, those weren't regular baby clothes," I explained. "They were custom-made pieces that took months to create. They can't be replaced." "Don't be so dramatic," Mom said. "They're just clothes. The important thing is that Monica's baby has what he needs." I hung up the phone and immediately called Monica. "Monica, Mom says she gave you my baby's clothes," I said when she answered. "Oh, hi Jasmine," Monica replied, sounding uncomfortable. "Yes, Mom brought over some beautiful baby clothes for Emma. They're gorgeous, much nicer than anything I could afford." "Those clothes were made for my baby," I said. "I need them back." "But Emma is wearing them now," Monica replied. "He looks so handsome in the little embroidered onesie. People keep commenting on how well-dressed he island." "Monica, those clothes were custom-made for my son who's due in 3 weeks," I explained. "They cost $200, and took months to make. $1,200? Monica repeated, her voice changing tone. Mom said they were just regular baby clothes you had too many of. They're not regular clothes, I said. They're handmade pieces from a boutique that specializes in heirloom quality infant clothing. Monica was quiet for a moment, clearly processing this information. I didn't know they were so expensive, she said finally. Mom made it sound like you had more baby clothes than you could use. I had exactly what I planned for my baby, I replied, and now they're gone. What do you want me to do? Monica asked. Emma has been wearing some of them for a few days already. I want you to return all of them immediately, I said. Clean or not, I want my baby's clothes back. But then, Emma won't have anything to wear, Monica protested. I was counting on having these clothes for him. That's not my problem, I replied. You can't keep clothes that were stolen from me, even if Mom was the one who stole them. The conversation ended with Monica reluctantly agreeing to return the clothes, though she made it clear she felt I was being unreasonable about wanting back what had been taken from me. That evening, Monica came to our house with a bag containing most of the baby clothes Mom had given her. Here are the clothes, she said, handing me the bag. But some of them have been washed already, because Emma had spit up on them. I looked through the bag and immediately saw that several of the most delicate pieces were missing. Where are the rest of them? I asked. Emma is wearing the little smocked romper because it's his favorite, Monica replied. And I left a few pieces at Mom's house because she wanted to see how cute Emma looked in them. Monica, I want all of the clothes back, I said firmly. But Emma looks so cute in that romper, Monica said. Can't he keep just that one piece? No, I replied. All of the clothes need to come back. Monica eventually returned all of the clothes, but many of them had been washed, worn, and were no longer in the pristine condition they had been in when Mom took them from my nursery. Looking at the returned clothes, I realized that my vision of dressing my newborn son in beautiful, never-worn custom pieces had been destroyed. These clothes now carried the history of being worn by another baby, regardless of how carefully they might be cleaned. But the real shock came when I examined the clothes more carefully. Several of the most delicate pieces had been damaged during washing. The hand-embroidered details on one onesie had pulled and puckered. A smocked dress shirt had shrunk and was no longer the right size. The mother-of-pearl buttons on another piece had cracked. Monica, some of these clothes are damaged, I told her. I followed the washing instructions, Monica replied defensively. I was very careful with them. The embroidery is ruined on this piece, and the buttons are cracked on this one. Those are just minor wear from normal use, Monica said. They're still perfectly good clothes. But they weren't perfectly good anymore. The custom craftsmanship that had made these pieces special had been compromised by washing and wearing. The next day, I called Maria at Little Treasures to ask about repairing the damaged pieces. Jasmine, I heard your voice message, but I need you to explain what happened, Maria said when she called me back. I told her the whole story, how Mom had taken the clothes from my house, how they had been worn and washed by another baby, and how some pieces had been damaged in the process. Your mother gave your custom baby clothes to your sister's baby? Maria asked, clearly shocked. She said Monica needed clothes and I had more than I needed, I explained. But those clothes were made specifically for your son, Maria said. They were fitted for newborn size and designed as a coordinated collection. I know. That's why I'm calling. Some pieces were damaged during washing. Can they be repaired? Maria was quiet for a moment before answering. Jasmine, I need you to understand something important about these clothes, she said carefully. What do you mean? The pieces I created for your son weren't just expensive baby clothes, Maria explained. They were museum-quality examples of traditional hand-sewing techniques that are almost lost arts. I knew they were special, I said. But you might not have realized how special, Maria continued. The smocking on the dress shirts took me 40 hours per piece. The French seams are sewn entirely by hand. The embroidery uses silk threads that I import from France. She paused before delivering the most devastating news. Jasmine, if these pieces were damaged during machine washing, they cannot be repaired or replaced. The techniques I use to create them require starting from scratch, and the silk threads and specialty fabrics I used are no longer available from my suppliers. My heart sank as I realized what Maria was telling me. You're saying the damaged pieces can't be fixed? I asked. I'm saying that some of these techniques are so specialized that once the work is damaged, it cannot be restored, Maria replied, and the materials I used were the last of certain specialty fabrics that my suppliers no longer carry. What does that mean for the collection? It means that what your mother gave away was not just 200 worth of baby clothes, Maria said sadly. It was an irreplaceable collection of handwork that represented months of specialized craftsmanship, using materials that cannot be obtained again. The full impact of what had been stolen from me was becoming clear. This wasn't just about baby clothes that could be replaced, it was about losing something truly unique and irreplaceable that had been created specifically for my son. Maria, I need documentation of what these clothes actually were, I said. I don't think my family understands what was taken. I'll prepare a detailed description of the collection, including the techniques used, the materials, and the time invested in each piece, Maria replied. I'll also document why the damaged pieces cannot be repaired or replaced. The next day, Maria provided me with a comprehensive report about the baby clothes that had been taken from my nursery. According to her documentation, the collection included hand-smocked dress shirts requiring 40 hours of work each now, embroidered onesies using imported silk threads, French seamed garments with no machine stitching, hand-carved mother-of-pearl buttons sewn individually, specialty organic fabrics no longer available from suppliers. This collection represents approximately 200 hours of specialized handwork, Maria's report stated. The techniques used are traditional methods that require years of training to master. Several pieces utilized materials that are no longer available from suppliers, making replacement impossible. The report concluded, due to the specialized nature of the materials and techniques, the damaged pieces cannot be repaired, and the collection cannot be replicated. Armed with this documentation, I confronted my mother about what she had actually given away. Mom, I need you to understand what you took from my house, I said, handing her Maria's report. Mom read through the documentation with increasing concern. 200 hours of handwork? She said quietly. That's just the labor time, I replied, not counting the months it took to source the materials and design each piece. I didn't know they were this elaborate, Mom admitted. And some of the pieces that Monica washed are permanently damaged and cannot be repaired or replaced, I continued. Mom looked stricken as she realized the full implications of what she had done. Jasmine, I'm so sorry, she said. I thought they were just expensive baby clothes. I didn't understand they were works of art. They were works of art created specifically for my son, I replied, and now he'll never have the complete collection that was made for him. What can I do to make this right? Mom asked. You can't make it right, I said honestly. The damaged pieces are gone forever, and the rest of the collection has been worn by another baby. My son will never have what was originally created for him. I'll pay to replace them, Mom offered. They can't be replaced, I explained. Maria doesn't have the materials anymore, and some of the techniques would require starting the entire process over, which would take another 6 months. Mom started crying as she understood that her decision to help Monica had permanently destroyed something irreplaceable. I thought I was just borrowing some baby clothes, she said through tears. You thought wrong, I replied. And because you thought wrong, my son lost something that was made specifically for him and can never be recreated. 3 weeks later, my son Ethan was born healthy and beautiful. I dressed him in the clothes that were still intact from his original wardrobe, but every time I looked at him, I thought about the missing pieces that should have been part of his first months. The damaged and unreplaceable pieces represented not just clothing, but the dreams and preparations I had made during my pregnancy after years of infertility struggles. Mom tried to make amends by offering to buy regular baby clothes as replacements, but she still didn't understand that the value of what had been lost couldn't be measured in dollars or replaced with store-bought alternatives. I can buy Ethan a whole new wardrobe, she would offer. It won't be the same, I would reply. It won't be what was made for him before he was born. 6 months later, our relationship with Mom has slowly begun to heal, but it will never be the same. Her decision to take what wasn't hers, based on assumptions about what I did or didn't need, caused damage that extended far beyond baby clothes. She violated my home, my privacy, and my preparations for my son's arrival. More importantly, she dismissed my feelings and desires as less important than Monica's immediate needs. The woman whose mother said she could always buy more baby clothes learned that some preparations for your children cannot be replaced, replicated, or undone. And the family that thought expensive baby clothes were wasteful extravagance learned that handmade works of art have value that extends far beyond their practical function. My son Ethan will grow up wearing beautiful clothes, but he will never have the complete custom collection that was created specifically for him before his birth, a collection that represented months of loving preparation and irreplaceable craftsmanship. Sometimes, the things people dismiss as too much or unnecessary are actually expressions of love, hope, and dreams that cannot be measured in practical terms. Have you ever had family members take your possessions because they thought you didn't need them? How do you protect your preparations and dreams from people who don't understand their value? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about protecting what matters most, family boundaries, and learning that some things cannot be replaced once they're lost.